Hi, welcome to High Valley. Today my guest is Sergey Doronichev. He's a Russian Immersive Technology Manager at the Schlumberger Software Technology Innovation Center in Menlo Park, California. Hi Sergey, how are you doing? And thank you for being here.
It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you very much for your invitation.
Thank you. Sergey, one thing that I would like to know is how your career path was from Russia to Menlo Park, since you started in a very traditional industry and in a very traditional background, because you are a geologist working in oil and gas. How was that process?
Okay, so it can be a long story actually.
It's fine.
Yeah, because I had two passions in my life. Yeah, I really loved geology. Yeah, and everything what is related to that because it really something that excited me. However, I love technology as well. Yeah, and that transformation was kind of interesting because when I started my career with Schlumberger in 2006, I just basically finished a third year at university, and I was lucky enough to get internship with Schlumberger in Moscow. Yeah, my role was a geologist basically. Yeah, I started as part-time geologist with the company. However, Schlumberger in general is a very innovative company. It invests lots of money in R&D in both in hardware and software business. So Schlumberger is the biggest user of its own software. And the department that I was working at, it was partly consulting services. So we were doing real jobs for our customers all around the world. Plus, the same department was actually providing those customers with the software. So I had a chance to work with the all coolest and newest tech. I started to work in Moscow, but when I was graduated in 2009, I got my master's. I decided that it's kind of very important for my career to get more hands-on experience, and I asked to move me into a field. So after that, I spent 2 years working on rotation in West Siberia. And for me, a boy who grew up in the capital, it was kind of an experience. I would say life-changing experience because I was working in West Siberia for 6 weeks with no weekends, no days off, 10 hours per day, in quite harsh, environments because, you probably heard a lot about Siberian weather. It's not only weather, it's like entire lifestyle is very different there. However, it allowed me to grow up as a geologist and I believe as a person as well. Yeah, I got lots of experience there. Quite quickly I realized that I actually want to do slightly more than just geology. Just sounds maybe not correct, but still I wanted to do something more. I started my career as a project manager after that inside the company. So I was leading multiple groups in Russia and Middle Asia, so in multiple cities for various customers. So I always curious how we can bring that feedback from our customers to actually our software developers directly. Because sometimes it was not obvious, that the 10 customers complain you about some little things and you kind of thinking that, okay, so why we just didn't change that in the way that they want, yeah?
So you were this bridge between software engineers and customers.
Kind of, yeah. I became that bridge eventually, yeah. Because my next position was already here in Software Technology Innovation Center, and this was quite fun because I applied for this role just 2 days after they opened the center. I really dreamed a lot to move to the Silicon Valley a long time before the center was open, and I'm that type of guy who grew up on books about Google and Facebook and. I always wanted to be part of this unique Bay Area ecosystem. So when I heard about this center that they opening actually facility in Menlo Park, and this will be specialized on innovation in software for oil and gas, I wrote an email saying that, hey guys, I have so many ideas for you. I really want to contribute. I have that understanding of challenges. So let me know how we can work together. They didn't reply. So it was kind of disappointing because they said, okay, who wants to be engaged, please contact us. And I was like, okay. Like in 2 weeks, I didn't get any reply, so I just pick up the phone and call center manager here. So I called him and I said, hey, it's me, Sergey. I'm Sergey from Moscow. And I have so many ideas for you guys. What is the best way to engage with your team? Because I really want to be, like you said, to be that bridge between our customers and folks who actually develop this software. Yeah? And he said, okay, you know what? Let me connect you with the right people in our team. And feel free to come over if you're in the Bay Area one day. So what I did, I just bought a ticket. I just bought a ticket and texted them, hey, I will be there for vacation. So I want to come over, to shake your hands and discuss the project that we can do together. My future wife was not happy about that because actually I did it during our honeymoon. So we had to cut our honeymoon in two parts. Like we had 3 days of vacation and then
you came for your honeymoon, you came to the United States at least.
It was, no, it was not like that. It was like we had honeymoon in Russia for 3 days. And then we flew back to Moscow it was the evening of Sunday, and Monday morning I was already in the plane to San Francisco. I came there and we had 4 hours discussion, probably discussing all the topics, because here at that moment we have basically only software engineers, very smart people, most of them with PhD on many years of experiences in software development. However, they had lack of that field knowledge, and users knowledge. And this is something that I could bring at that moment. And it was super lucky coincidence actually, because just 2 days after my visit, they supposed to had a workshop around the topic that I was an expert of. They said, you know what, can you please probably stay with us for a few more days because we kind of don't have a geologist for that design sprint workshop that we're running. I said, why not? Yeah, so basically it went very well. And after that, the center manager just came to me and said, okay, so I will be honest with you, we don't have a position that you would fit, but actually we were thinking about creating one. And in 4 months, I was already transferred there. So this is how I actually became more like software tech people. It was beginning of 2016. It was a very exciting time in VR AR world because it was the time when at the same time, 3 companies released just masterpieces. Yeah, HTC released the HTC Vive headset, Oculus Rift, and Microsoft, they released their HoloLens mixed reality headsets. So everyone was talking about that here in the Bay Area. It would be, strange if I didn't want to try that. I didn't experience VR before, but since everyone was talking about that, I kind of, in one of the parties, I actually had a chance to try it out, and I got completely crazy about that. I said, oh my God, we live in the future. We need to do something with that at our innovation center. It actually took me a couple of months to convince people there that it's not just a toy, that we need to check this out and we need to experiment with that. The biggest challenge was that not only Schlumberger, but many other oil and gas companies, and not even in oil and gas, they had quite a negative experience with VR technologies in the past. Because 20 years ago, it was already, we already had hype around that. And companies were spending millions of dollars building immersive VR caves. So it was super expensive. It was not really useful, only for demos. And the first feedback that I heard at my company was kind of, we already did it 20 years ago. And so it's not something we want to do again. I said, people in the 90s sometimes said, we already tried computers 20 years ago and it didn't work out well. Yeah, so maybe even 20 years something changed. And they said, okay, you know what? Yeah, let's buy one headset and let's see what you can do with this. Yeah, and I started taking some online classes and video tutorials on YouTube to learn how to create those experiences. So I started to contact almost random people in my company. So okay, who is visualization engineer? Who is a visualization manager? Who is doing this? Who is doing that? I asked some other people to introduce me. And I believe I talked to eventually with maybe 50 people in my company. Most of them I didn't know. So 3 of us, we basically in 3 weeks, we created our very first experiences. So in 1 month, I was already presenting to CEO and all top management of the company in headquarters. and it was just a hit, you know. The only concern was, okay, now we have perfect solution. We're looking for a problem now. What can we do with that VR? Yeah, actually, you know, to discover those appropriate use cases were quite challenging. And I realized, okay, you know, at the company we have more than 100,000 people. They all are experts in their use cases. I should stop guessing and I should start asking them, end users, how they can use it. It allowed me to find many people who was actually passionate about that technology, who were willing to put some of their time and effort to discover those use cases for me. It gave us much better understanding what can be done. Because initially, you know, when we just create a list of possible use cases for virtual reality at Schlumberger, I would say trainings, for example, for me was number 5 or number 6. However, when we just built that first application and I started to bring people from my tech center who are mostly software engineers, they've never been on the rig before. And when I put them into that VR experience, they start to say, oh my God, so this is how it looks like. It's
this
so
is what
huge.
we do.
Yeah, and so this is BHA or this is the drill. Oh, I imagine it completely different. And I just realized, hey, you know, actually by simply putting people in VR, you already start teaching them. So it's already experience that they will never forget. They will remember it like they've been on the rig. Yep. And very quickly, basically training became use case number 1. And it's actually, I believe, not only for us, but for entire VR enterprise industry, even today, it's still the most proven use case for virtual reality.
So before the interview, you told me you also had an entrepreneurial experience in Russia with a startup. Could you tell me about that a bit?
Oh, man. When I was 14, for example, I mentioned that I was studying at computer science school. So I had a little bit more knowledge than others, and at late 90s it was the time when computers just started to become popular thing in Russia, but still not everyone knew how to do even quite simple things, how to install Windows on your machine, how to fix the problems, how to do, I don't know, like very simple things.
You were an IT guy?
Kind of, yeah, so I'm geologist. For that time I was IT guy, yeah, so if you know how to install Windows, it already was kind of magic. And then eventually when I was 20, we started our own e-commerce business. It was not yet popular thing there. So it's not like was normal, you know, just to either pick up the phone or to submit order online and expect that someone would bring it to you, at least in Moscow, in Russia in general. And we chose quite specific market segment. We decided to open an e-commerce which was focused on home textile. Since it was early time of e-commerce in Russia, just in a couple of years we became online store number 1 in home textile. It was a super fun time. We really enjoyed it. We started at home, then we started to rent an office. We got our employees. We had army of couriers, you know, who was delivering that stuff. It was really cool. However, I had to eventually focus more on my Schlumberger career, and we just passed it to our relatives who still running that business, so it still exists.
If you would go back in time, if you had that possibility, would you do something different?
I would probably start international part of my career much earlier. So maybe I would be still doing the same things that you just mentioned, yeah, and project management, business development, and geology. However, in different countries, because I believe this type of experience really allows you to grow as an expert in many ways. Yeah, you get exposure to different cultures, different opinions. You learn a lot when you work in different geographical locations. Yeah, and people who you met, the expertise that you get from them, it's amazing eventually.
Sergey, thank you very much for all the information that you provide us with, because it's a lot and it's so varied. That's the best thing of you, that you have such a wide experience. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you very much for having me here.
If you liked our channel, feel free to subscribe, to like it, or to share it. Thank you.